So I'm here in Cheran. We just left Puerto Vallarta, and this is kind of astounding here. There was a revolution here 8 years ago, and let's go off camera and you can see. So this is kind of the town square where they have their voting and just where they make all the community decisions and stuff. But we're across the street at the Central Church, and some of the artwork that's here is really phenomenal. A lot of history of the indigenous Indians. And David, what's the name of the Indians? ¿Cómo se llama? Purepeches. The Purepeches Indians are the indigenous Indian tribe here. So this is definitely something you're not going to see at Puerto Vallarta or Mazatlan in the tourist districts. Like this is some incredible artwork. And this is just kind of the church area. And up here we have the church bells, where when they had their revolution 8 years ago, those bells alerted the community that the revolution was happening. I've been wanting to come here for quite some time, and David here is showing us around. We're gonna go have breakfast in a minute, but there's a lot of history here, and hopefully I get to see a lot today and cover a lot. So I'm here at the forestry, I guess it's a forestry service put together by the local people here. So in the city of Cheran, what gave uprising to the revolution 8 years ago was the trees. The cartel were cutting down trees to grow avocados, or aguacate as they call it. And this basically spurred the women initiated this. They rose up and threw the politicians out. Apparently the one act, from what I've been told, the one act that got it going was they had kind of a sacred tree that was sacred to the people of the town. When they cut that one down, that pissed them off, and so they rose up. And one of the things that they've done over this 8 years that they're bringing the city back is plant new trees. And to date, they've planted many millions of trees. I don't know how many, but you can't see it in the distance because I'm inside of this. But these are the baby trees that they're still growing. So they've the cartel cut down thousands of hectares. There's much more over here. And what they've done is replanted all those, and this mountain that is behind us was bare at one time, and now the mountain is full again with trees. And this is, I'm looking at right now millions of trees, and there's millions, thousands more outside of this. So all of these are going to be replanted, and this is just done by the people of the city. It's not the National Forestry Service. It's not any government entity. In fact, these people have kicked the government out of this town and went back to this tribal rule. And, one of the questions as we were riding around that I asked David, the guy who's kind of which I have a language barrier with him right now. My Spanish is not great, so I'm kind of limited on what I can find out from him. But one of the questions I asked him is, when there were politicians in this town, was it divided? And he said yes. And I said, well, what happened to the people after the politicians left? And he said they became unified. So I think that can tell you a lot, especially if you look at America with a two-party system, where if you know anyone who's a Democrat and you're a Republican, you have this mindset that you're supposed to hate them, and vice versa. So that has a lot to say about parties. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm just amazed. The people are very unified. They take care of themselves quite well without the politicians and the president and the cartel. They have no problem at all governing themselves.
Right. As you come in the city, they have their own special guard. They have 2 armed guards at either end of the city coming in and out to make sure that the cartels aren't coming in. We went to the town square earlier, and there was somebody in a uniform who appeared to be a policeman, but actually he was a private security that was secured by the city. So what they have is no mayor, they have town council, and each neighborhood gets together, has like kind of a little party, what they call campfires, and they decide who will be their representative for that neighborhood. And then when they have their elections or community decisions on what will happen, these representatives go and stand in lines that say yay or nay as to whatever the topic is. So everybody in the town gets to go and watch their representatives stand up for them, and it's pretty cool. Like as you come into town,
and truly participate.
Yeah, truly participate. One of the other things that I've always thought was really cool is like if you come into this town and you have a vote for Trump sticker or whatever, I'm just using that as an example, but any political propaganda gets peeled off your car or you get turned around. So that, I love that.
Yeah. Another thing I want to say too is we're in Michoacan, and Michoacan, in the United States. I was told before I got here that this is a place known for the cartel, and to be super careful and not come here. One of my girlfriends said that she had a cousin kidnapped, but I feel a lot safer here than I did in Las Vegas on Boulder Highway by far. People don't lock their cars. You don't have to lock your door. It's a whole different feeling.
Yeah. So for the RVers out there who might see this, there's not really much in the way of an RV park, but I think they would probably welcome you. You could, if you're a boondocker, definitely come and check this place out. Maybe park on the street or whatever. They're pretty welcoming.
And there are some RV parks about 24 miles away.
Yeah, it's about an hour actually.
Is it about an hour?
Yeah, I mapped it out, and it said 20 miles, but it's actually a little farther. There's a lake about an hour away from here.
Or if you want to rent a room, it cost us $15 last night.
Yeah. Park your RV outside the hotel. It was $15 for a nice room, and they let us even park our Jeep and stuff inside. So we're
private
good.
Parking.
Yeah.
And breakfast this morning was $5. Yeah. A giant breakfast.
Yeah. So just up the hill from the nursery that we just looked at is this wonderful car here. This car, well, actually it was a truck that was used by the cartel to steal wood from this mountain range here. And this is the mountain range that was kind of decimated by the cartel. And the townspeople took their truck and demolished it, burned it, and strung it up from this tree as a warning to the cartel that they were tired of putting up with their shit. So this is an amazing story here, and I can't wait to hear more. So I'm here, I guess, at the epicenter of where their revolution started. This is Ojo de Agua, and this used to flow much more. It still flows. It's pure spring water, so it's very clean. There's even a pipe here. Somebody's capturing this water and taking it down. Some of these bigger trees around here were actually sacred, and before the revolution kicked off, apparently the cartel were so bold as to cut these trees. And this is an indigenous area, so these trees are very sacred to the Indians. And when they did that, that was the spark, the camel that broke, the straw that broke the camel's back, and that's what kicked off this revolution. So 8 years ago, someone cut down the wrong tree, and now you have a village that's peaceful. On the way up here, I asked about drugs, and our guide, this is David right here. I asked about drugs. Was there a drug problem when you had politicians, when you had the division of people? And he said, yes, there was a drug problem. People were drinking in the streets, and it was kind of chaotic. But since they've gotten rid of government and they have this tribal rule going on with a decentralized government, they have no more problems with drugs in the street. so the community's much tighter. I actually went to the jail and I wandered into the wrong room, and there were 3 young kids in their 20s that were in jail, and I asked one of them, and he said he would be there for 3 days. So the only thing that anybody really goes to jail for around here is public drunkenness and fighting with their family, stuff like that. I'm sure people get, if there's public drunkenness, they're obviously going to be fighting with their family. So yeah, this is quite the experience.
So I just wandered into a party, I think.
This is the entrance in Cheran, and this is the community police force. These guys, you will see on their shoulders a Mexican flag, but they are not government workers. The city has basically hired these private security guards to man the entrances. ¿Cuántos entrances por todo? ¿Tres? ¿Dos? Cinco. Okay, so there's ¿cuántos estos? Cinco. Okay, so there's 5 checkpoints from all of the roads that enter the city from any angle. There's a checkpoint, and these guys are looking for the cartel or anybody that they know to be a bad person who might come into the city and cause an issue. So that's what they're doing here. When we passed through here, we got flagged right through. Nothing happened last night to us. But this is the line of defense. When I spoke earlier I went to this a police office that was, they're not police, private security for the city. I talked with the guy, and he spoke English enough for me to gather that there is an ongoing problem with the cartel. This is not just because they had the revolution 8 years ago, the cartel's not gone. They have to be vigilant and have this checkpoint to keep this from happening any further, and to keep the city safe, and basically just to deter the cartel from coming back and trying to take over. So that's kind of what we have here in these checkpoints. And they are armed. They don't have a lot of arms. Apparently, they have maybe 50 guns, I think, amongst all of them. Some of them are rifles, some of them are pistols. This is the stories that I'm being told. They probably need more arms, but I'm not here to arm them, that's for sure. So don't put me in in an arms deal. But yeah, this is definitely a testament to what someone can do with a different government.